The story of Moses from birth to purpose. The story of Moses is one of the most iconic narratives in the Bible, foundational not only to Judaism but also to Christianity and Islam. It begins in a time of oppression and despair, a backdrop that sets the stage for Moses to become a savior and leader. Yet the tale of Moses carries mysteries and parallels to earlier myths and legends, raising intriguing questions about its origins and its deeper significance. Moses' birth and destiny. The story begins in ancient Egypt, where the Hebrew people lived as slaves under Pharaoh's harsh rule. According to Exodus, Pharaoh, fearing the growing Hebrew population, decreed that all male Hebrew infants be killed at birth. This act of oppression laid the foundation for Moses' miraculous survival. Born to Hebrew parents from the tribe of Levi, Moses was hidden for 3 months by his mother, Jochebed. When she could no longer conceal him, she placed him in a waterproof basket and set him afloat on the Nile River. Pharaoh's daughter discovered the child, took pity on him, and raised him as her own in the royal palace. Unbeknownst to her, Moses' own mother became his wet nurse, ensuring he retained a connection to his Hebrew roots. From the outset, Moses' life was marked by divine intervention and a sense of destiny. He was saved from death, placed in a position of privilege, and uniquely positioned between two worlds, the enslaved Hebrews and the ruling Egyptians. Life in Egypt and the call to leadership raised in the luxury of Pharaoh's court, Moses was educated in the wisdom of Egypt's elite. He likely learned subjects such as astronomy, medicine, and law, skills that would later serve him in his leadership role. Yet Moses never forgot his heritage. As an adult, he witnessed an Egyptian taskmaster beating a Hebrew slave. In a fit of rage, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid his body in the sand. When his act was discovered, he fled Egypt to escape Pharaoh's wrath, leaving behind his life of privilege. Moses settled in Midian, where he married Zipporah, the daughter of a priest, and lived as a shepherd for 40 years. It was during this period of exile that Moses experienced his divine calling. On Mount Horeb, he encountered the burning bush, a phenomenon where a bush burned but was not consumed. From within the flames, God spoke to Moses, revealing his name as I Am That I Am, and commanding Moses to return to Egypt to free the Hebrew people. The transformation of Moses, the reluctant shepherd transformed into a prophet and leader. Moses returned to Egypt and, through a series of confrontations with Pharaoh, brought about the 10 plagues that devastated Egypt. Finally, he led the Hebrews out of slavery in the dramatic Exodus, crossing the Red Sea and journeying toward the Promised Land. Parallels to earlier tales. The story of Moses bears striking similarities to earlier myths and legends. For example, 1. The birth of Sargon of Akkad, the Mesopotamian king. Sargon's legend tells of his birth to a humble woman, his placement in a basket, and his journey down a river before being rescued and raised by royalty. This narrative predates the story of Moses by over 1,000 years. 2. The hero's journey. Moses' life aligns with the archetypal hero's journey outlined by Joseph Campbell, marked by a call to adventure, trials, transformation, and a return with newfound wisdom. What was left out and why? Biblical accounts often omit or reshape details to emphasize theological themes. For instance, Moses' Egyptian education. While the Bible hints at Moses' royal upbringing, it avoids detailing his exposure to Egyptian religion and mystery schools. Such omissions may be intentional to distance Moses from polytheistic influences. Zipporah's role. Zipporah's significance in Moses' life is downplayed. Yet her actions saved Moses' life during a mysterious incident involving circumcision. This story, cryptic and unexplained, suggests deeper cultural or theological layers. The story's deeper meaning. Understanding the Moses narrative within the context of earlier tales highlights how ancient societies reused and adapted myths to address their cultural and spiritual needs. For the Hebrews, the story of Moses served to assert their identity as a chosen people and underscore their covenant with a single powerful deity. The God of Israel, demigod, extraterrestrial, or something else. The nature of the God who called Moses has sparked speculation for centuries. In some ancient interpretations, Yahweh is described with characteristics akin to a warrior deity, leading some to question whether he was perceived as a demigod. Others, influenced by modern theories, suggest Yahweh's appearances, burning bushes, pillars of fire, and clouds of smoke, resemble descriptions of advanced technology, fueling speculation about extraterrestrial involvement. Why does ancient knowledge end in Christianity? Christianity, as a syncretic religion, absorbed elements from Judaism, Greco-Roman philosophy, and even pagan traditions. Stories like Moses were reinterpreted through a Christ-centered lens, solidifying their place in Christian theology. This blending of traditions often resulted in the marginalization or recontextualization of older knowledge, aligning it with Christian narratives. Parallels to the Moses narrative in ancient religions. The story of Moses is a cornerstone of Abrahamic religions, yet its themes and elements echo across cultures and civilizations worldwide. When we delve into the myths and legends of ancient peoples, we find striking similarities to Moses' story, suggesting a shared archetype or a universal cultural memory. These parallels also intersect intriguingly with modern theories about extraterrestrial involvement in ancient history. 1. Stories of divine chosen leaders. In many ancient cultures, we see the motif of a chosen leader guided by divine intervention. Mesopotamia, Sargon of Akkad. As mentioned earlier, Sargon's story bears an uncanny resemblance to Moses. Sargon, a historical figure, was said to have been placed in a basket and set adrift in a river by his mother. Rescued and raised by royalty, Sargon went on to unite Mesopotamia under his rule. Hinduism, Krishna and Karna. In Hindu mythology, both Krishna and Karna were children born under miraculous circumstances, saved from danger, and later rose to prominence. Karna, like Moses, was abandoned at birth and floated down a river to be found and raised by another family. Greco-Roman mythology, Perseus and Romulus. The Greek hero Perseus and Rome's founder Romulus were also saved as infants from deadly threats, often through divine intervention or extraordinary circumstances. 2. Global flood myths and the water motif. The theme of survival through water, central to Moses' story, appears in myths worldwide. Noah and Utnapishtim. The biblical story of Noah's Ark parallels the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, where Utnapishtim survives a great flood sent by the gods. Both tales involve divine selection and the salvation of a chosen few. Native American legends, many indigenous North American tribes, such as the Hopi, tell of a great flood and divine beings who guided their ancestors to safety. These water-related stories often symbolize purification, renewal, and divine favor, which align with Moses' survival and eventual leadership. 3. Native legends of sky beings and divine visitors. Across the world, indigenous peoples share stories of powerful beings who came from the skies, imparted wisdom, and sometimes intervened in human affairs. Mesoamerica, Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan. In Aztec and Mayan mythology, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god, was said to bring knowledge, law, and civilization. Some modern interpretations suggest that such figures could represent extraterrestrial visitors due to their depiction as descending from the heavens. Australia, Wandjina spirits. Aboriginal legends describe the Wandjina, sky beings who came to Earth, shaped the land, and taught people how to live. Their depictions in rock art featuring large heads and wide, glowing eyes bear an uncanny resemblance to modern descriptions of extraterrestrials. Africa, Dogon tribe and the Nomo. The Dogon people of Mali speak of the Nomo, amphibious beings from the Sirius star system who came to Earth and taught humanity advanced knowledge, including astronomy. 4th, common themes, gods, laws, and fire. Moses' story involves the reception of divine laws on Mount Sinai amidst fire and smoke, a theme mirrored in other traditions. Zoroastrianism. The prophet Zarathustra, Zoroaster, received revelations from Ahura Mazda, the supreme deity, often accompanied by light and fire symbolism. Greek mythology, Prometheus. Prometheus brought fire, a symbol of knowledge and civilization, to humanity, defying the gods and enduring punishment, a tale echoing themes of divine knowledge and sacrifice. These stories suggest a pattern of divine beings or intermediaries, bestowing knowledge upon humanity, often in dramatic, awe-inspiring ways. Modern interpretations, extraterrestrial theories. In the 20th and 21st centuries, the ancient astronaut theory gained traction, proposing that many ancient myths and religious accounts describe encounters with extraterrestrial beings. The Moses story, alongside other legends, fits within this framework. Burning bush as technology. The burning bush that spoke to Moses is often cited as an example of advanced technology, perhaps a holographic projection or an energy field that ancient people could only describe in terms they understood. Pillars of cloud and fire. During the Exodus, Moses and the Israelites were led by a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. Ancient astronaut theorists speculate this could describe an advanced spacecraft. The giving of the law. The dramatic scene on Mount Sinai, thunder, smoke, and a divine voice, has been interpreted as a controlled display of technology meant to awe and communicate with the people. The argument is not that these events didn't happen, but that they might represent encounters with beings possessing advanced knowledge, possibly extraterrestrial in origin. Why this matters. Understanding these parallels and interpretations opens the door to several possibilities. 1. Shared human archetypes. If these stories are universal, they may represent a collective unconscious or shared human experience, transcending cultures and time periods. Second, historical layers. If Moses' story is based on older myths, this suggests a cultural evolution where tales were adapted to fit new religious and societal contexts. Third, extraterrestrial contact. If ancient astronaut theories hold any truth, it redefines humanity's understanding of its history, origins, and potential future. Concealing ancient knowledge. Religious and cultural institutions often curate narratives to align with specific doctrines, which might explain why certain details are omitted or reinterpreted. For example, monotheism versus polytheism. Stories that could hint at multiple divine beings or extraterrestrial visitors are streamlined to fit a monotheistic framework. Esoteric knowledge. Ancient wisdom, possibly preserved in mystery schools or oral traditions, may have been intentionally excluded from mainstream religious texts to maintain control over spiritual knowledge.